All right, race fans, Ryan Aho and the one and only Bert Lehman bringing you episode 75. Bert, I may have had a little error last week, but this is episode 75 of the One to Go show. In editing, it said episode 74, and I looked at one spot, it said episode 75. I'm like, how did I do that? Or I guess it must have been one of them 2 o'clock in the morning deals right there. I'm not sure what that was all about. So, a lot of racing was supposed to happen this past weekend, and a lot of racing did not happen this past weekend. We were supposed to have the opening for the Wissota racing season at Ogilvie. That got canceled. And then, quite frankly, if we're talking power rankings here, Mother Nature kicked the shit out of everybody. I mean, it was an absolute throttle stomping. Here's a few things that rained out last week, Bert. You know, we're looking at the Tri-State opener, the repairable vehicles Tri-State late model series. That was supposed to open up with a doubleheader. That canceled. The MLRA late models was supposed to open up at Wheatland at Lucas Oil Speedway. That was out. Ogilvie canceled. Cedar Lake canceled. The Southern All-Stars canceled at Thunder Hill. The Summer Nationals at I-75 canceled. And the Mars, I guess that's a second go-around that they canceled for the Mars late model series. So they just got smoked. So enough negativity in the world. Let's get to some positivity. Like, I'm positive that if you race cars, if you need fabricating done, you need to call the folks over at Dirt Track Supply in Watertown, South Dakota. Get a hold of Ron Anderson. Get a hold of Trevor. Parts are getting hard to come by with everything that's happened with this last year, but they'll work hard to make sure they get you what you need. Of course, they're at multiple racetracks. Great service to the racing community. Get a hold of them, guys. Of course, they build the Aero chassis as well, and Trevor Anderson shows that he can park that 20 in Victory Lane. You know, it's nice seeing a local built modified getting some wins in Wissota modified racing. So get a hold of them, guys. Dirt Track Supply, Watertown, South Dakota. You'll be seeing them at a track near you very soon. And Bert, let's get into some fun stuff. Now, here's a race I didn't even know was happening until I saw all the cancellations, and I was like looking for something. Did you happen to see Lincoln Speedway last week? Did you happen to see that? They had a UNP program there, late models and modifieds. Did you watch any of that?
Yeah, I watched the trimmed down version of the feature on Dirt on Dirt, and so the track was a little choppy, and Brian Shirley wound up winning the race, but I watched his post-race interview, and that was one of the first things that he acknowledged in his interview was that the track was a little rough, and that he was a little apprehensive about the race because of what happened to him a few weeks ago when he flipped his car on a rough track. But he stuck it out and had a convincing win. I mean, he lapped up to, what was it, 5th place or so?
Sixth place. I know Jake Tim, he got 5th, and he was right on the rear bumper of the 49 at the checkers, and he was in 5th.
Yeah, so, it was good to see Shirley get the win after, a tough weekend a few weekends ago. So, we'll see if he can stay on a roll.
I tell you what, Brian Shirley, I didn't know what to think about him a couple of years ago. I seen him at Cedar Lake. He just never posted the results I was used to. I don't care who comes to Illinois. That dude is tough at home. I mean, he is incredibly fast in the state of Illinois. So I challenge anyone. Even Brandon Shepard couldn't win all the races against him last year on the Hell Tour. So Shirley won. Tanner English got 2nd. A nice little bounce back after the bad news he had here a week or so ago. I think he got his fingers slapped a little bit from Lucas Oil down with a tire issue. So he got 2nd. Unzicker, another podium finish there in his MB car. And then Pierce, I'm not sure what happened in the heat. I don't know if he maybe didn't make it out or what happened, but he ended up getting last in the heat, and he charged up to 4th. And, of course, Jake Tim got 5th. Another thing that happened that night, and I wasn't going to touch on it, but I'll keep it brief. They had, obviously, UMP mods. They're on the pump, and Herm, Kenny Wallace, he runs one. And I saw a little video. I watch all of his stuff online. He has some short little clips on there. And he said, the crash at Lincoln, I'm like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about? So I had to go back and watch the mod feature because I'm telling on myself here, Bert. I watched the late models, and I may have skipped the mods initially. Okay, don't tell anybody that. But I went back and there was a guy in the front of that deal. I don't remember who it was, Michaels maybe or something like that. But he spit out a drive shaft. There was a restart, so they're all bunched up. And they come out of turn 2, coming into turn 3. This dude spits a drive shaft, and all hell broke loose. And next thing you know, you got Lika up on top of Herm, and it ripped the whole right front tire off of Herm's car. So it could have been even worse. But man, when things stack up in a quick hurry like that, when somebody loses power in the front of the field, man, it kind of gives me flashbacks, because I may have had somebody spit a drive shaft out, and I never even saw the guy until I was all the way underneath him, and he was cartwheeling after that, and it destroyed a race car. So a little bit of flashbacks on that one for this guy, but needless to say, I like that place. And Brandon Shepard, did you see the one lap, one beer on Dirt on Dirt?
I didn't get a chance to watch that.
Yeah, he mentioned it. He was talking, and he actually noted that Lincoln is actually his favorite track. So it kind of looks, there was a little bit of character, right? A little bit of attitude, a little bit choppy. You know, it's spring. It's just what happens. But the track was racing. You could move around on the track, and I like racy racetracks, and some tracks aren't so much, but that one was pretty impressive. Now, speaking of racetracks that I was a little bit hesitant on, let's go to Bristol. The Bristol Bash, it's Bristol, baby, right? You know, they ran a course on Friday. Saturday, they were supposed to race. Mother Nature won that one, but they did postpone it till Sunday, and I was skeptical. I really was. I'm like, oh boy, here we go, a day race on Sunday. This is gonna suck. But why don't you talk about what you saw there? We'll start with Friday. We'll kind of separate it out. Talk about what stuck out to you on Friday for the World of Outlaw late models at Bristol.
I mean, actually, before Friday, practice was Thursday, and there was I mean, it was on the last lap of a practice session. RTJ hit the wall pretty hard. I don't know if he destroyed his race car. If it wasn't destroyed, it was bent up pretty good. But so, you know, that was a tough one in practice right away, you know, as
you're talking about practice.
I was just going to say,
practice.
As Allen Iverson would say, or it was the coach of the Colts also said practice.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, Friday night's race, Josh Richards won the race, but I think the story of the night was Kyle Strickler and Jimmy Owens. You know, I mean, Strickler was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That accident was just bad luck. I mean, he got
let's start before that. Let's start before that, right? Let's start before that.
You talk about the heat because you know a little bit more about that.
So Strickler, I mean, he had fast time, right? So he qualified quick time. I think Bloomquist qualified second quick. In fact, he had the quick time. Strickler was in the last group. Bam, quick time, Kyle Strickler. And then he won. He goes out, he wins a heat race. He comes across the scales light, okay? Now, according to him, what he said is, I thought we needed some more fuel, and they said, I don't know, or we should be okay, or they thought they should have put some ballast on. They thought they should be okay. So who is his crew chief? Cody Mallory, right? So Mallory goes from Owens to Pierce to helping Strickler, and next thing you know, one of the first big races that he's helping Strickler, he's light. Isn't that kind of the crew chief's job there? I'm just saying, I'm not really sure. So needless to say, that puts him in the back of a B main, doesn't transfer in, has to take a provisional, which you're limited on provisionals anyway, right? So that was a bad deal for him. And then they go out in the feature race, and you can kind of talk about what you saw there. I'll touch on that a little bit. We got a little clip we'll play here so people can kind of see what happened as well.
Well, and the thing is, you know, I didn't watch the race live. I watched it the next day, and I saw some I actually saw the accident before I watched the race. So, you know, I had heard that he was light at the scale, so he would have had to start towards the back. And then I saw that he was right behind Jimmy Owens. So I thought, wow, he charged through the field and he was challenging for the lead. Well, then when I watched the race and I realized he was lapped. But the thing is, I mean, he was lapped like a couple of laps before that, but he stayed right with Owens. If he would have actually fell back a little bit, you know, it wouldn't have I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, he's trying to get back on the lead lap, obviously. But, I mean, for a tire to come off of Jimmy Owen's car and then Strickler to hit it and run it over, and he wound up flipping. I read that this was the first time he ever flipped in a race car.
Oh, really? See, that surprises me. You know, open wheel guy, you'd think a guy that's a hard charger like him would have been upside down at least a couple times in a mod. But yeah, and really it was one roll. It was a pretty hard single roll, but Bert, that was a brand new car.
Oh, right. It was brand new. And I mean, what I read was, I mean, his car owner was pretty dejected afterwards. And I mean, they were talking about pulling the pin on the season. And, you know, I mean, from the article I read on Dirt on Dirt, you know, the future's still a little bit uncertain, but because I saw that Strickler said, well, I'm going to race the mod tomorrow. You know, this is what he said Friday night. I'm going to race the mod tomorrow. I don't know if we're racing a late model. Maybe they'll change their mind and we'll be in the late model next week or tomorrow, but, you know, we'll see. But he was in it on Sunday, so he was back out there. But, you know, I imagine those bills add up pretty fast if you're in a lot of wrecks. So, well,
they better get used to it. That's just part of racing. And I don't think I've ever heard a racer say, I'm not racing tomorrow. I'm done. I've never heard that before, nor have I ever said that before. And if you used to pit for me, you don't need to chime in the comments because everybody knows I'm full of crap when I say that. So I think that's just emotion. I mean, you put a brand new car out on the racetrack, you tear it up, and you're like, oh, you're just sick because you know what them things cost. And, you know, it's kind of just a freak deal. I haven't really heard what happened. I know the left rear tire come off the 20, and I don't know if he broke a hub or if the lug nuts were loose. I'm not really sure.
Well, if the lug nuts, I didn't hear, but if the lug nuts would have been loose, wouldn't that thing have been shattering pretty bad?
One would think. Yeah, one would think. So, but I mean, usually, if it broke, chances are it didn't just break and then come off, right? So whatever happened, it had to have been shattering prior to that anyway. And a lot of times people are like, well, okay, maybe I got some mud up in there. Of course, it wasn't really that muddy, so that shouldn't have been the case. But, you know, it could have been anything. You feel a vibration, and it takes a little bit for it to figure out where's that vibration coming from. It could be a tire. It could be a U-joint. It could be a drive shaft. It could be an engine issue. I mean, there's so many things a vibration could be. But one would think that he would have known that, but you know, typical race car driver, well, it's vibrating, but I'm leading, I'll just stay in the pump.
Oh, exactly.
I would have did the same thing. It's just part of what it is. But yeah, just a freak deal there. Bloomquist had a freak deal too. So Bloomquist, he qualifies second quick. Then he goes out in the heat, he gets second. It's like, Boomer's looking pretty good. No, I'm not gonna, that was my pick, right? I picked him to win night number one. And I'm like, then he goes to redraw, and he redraws 8th. I'm like, well, screw it. There goes that. He ain't going to go from 8th to 1st. Well, then all of a sudden I'm looking, and actually a buddy of mine actually messaged me. They said, why did Bloomquist start last? I'm like, what are you talking about? I had no idea. I guess I didn't pay attention. I didn't realize he started last. So I got a hold of his pit guy there, Charlie, that I interviewed just a few weeks back, and he says, the dang pit lift stuck. He goes, we had the car up on the pit lift. It wouldn't go down, so he was late to staging because the pit lift wouldn't go down. He had to start dead last in the feature because of the pit lift. So it's like, well, that couldn't have gone much worse. So then he got lapped. His whole night was mayhem, and you know, just a bad night all around after that for the Team Zero car. Did you happen to see Weiss really struggled too? He was playing kissy face with Brent Larson out there, and I didn't see the video, but I saw a picture of Weiss up on top of Brent Larson in the middle of the back straightaway. I know he was Ricky was in the last 2 yellows, and I didn't see the incident, so I don't really know what happened. I just know they were together, so I don't know if it was his fault or he just got caught up in something. But did you happen to see that picture of Weiss up on top of Brent Larson's car?
No, I didn't see that picture. So I'm not sure what happened.
I'll post it on here. So needless to say, you know, they were just struggling, and we've been talking about Ricky, right? And we're talking struggle bus. I mean, again, you know, if they were having turtle races for Sniper chassis, he'd be in contention to win every single one of them because he's been about as fast as a turtle out there, and he's just been struggling like crazy until Sunday. until Sunday. So Saturday rained out. Let's talk Sunday because, of course, the winner on night number 1, Josh Richards, not so good of luck on Sunday. He didn't finish on Sunday. But I'm going to be honest with you, Bert. Coming into Sunday, I'm thinking day race, half mile. I'm like, I got better things to do than watch this garbage. I mean, they ain't going to be good. But I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I kind of watched the race, and then I went back and I actually watched the race. There was a lot of passing. Like, there was 2 distinct lines around that racetrack. I was fairly impressed.
One of the funny things is before the race started, one of our listeners that I know on this side of the state, he sent me a Facebook message, and he goes, "I love day racing, LOL." So I think he was trying to impersonate you.
Yeah, he's right on the money because usually day racing is terrible, but
and then
it was pretty good.
After the race, he sent me another message, and he said it was actually pretty good. So he had the same assessment that you did, and I agree. I mean, there was actually 2 groups of racing, and actually at the end of the race, when you would think it would lock down more because it was so dry, the high side in 3 and 4 was actually really fast.
Really, Ricky Thornton Jr. was absolutely bolted on the top. I mean, he came from 20th to 4th, and on that track, the racing that we'd seen there over the last month, I'm like, there ain't no way. I mean, I didn't even realize it because I kind of watched it the first time. I had other stuff going on. And then all of a sudden I saw Ricky posted on Facebook, 20th to 4th. I'm like, well, what? I'm like, I missed something. I need to go back and watch this race again. And I'm like, that he was flat out a rocket ship in the 20 RT. I mean, he was coming.
Yeah, I agree. And Devin Moran used the high side too to take the lead with like 9 laps to go from Ricky Weiss. I mean, I wonder what Weiss was actually thinking when he got passed on the high side.
Well, he actually lost another spot to Dales right after that because he went high, slid up. Dales got high, yellow comes out, and then Ricky maintained second. And Moran, he's kind of had a pretty strong year other than last week he struggled, right, at the Illini. But earlier in the year down in Florida, that was kind of one of our picks. Like, he's going to have a breakout season. But I got to be, I'm ecstatic for the 7. Ricky's been so brutally slow, like literally, like couldn't get out of his own way. And, he had a shot to win that deal. Of course, Moran was quicker at the end, got by him, but you get on the podium, you get a top 3, you get a second place finish. That was much, much needed by the 7 team there. So good to see that. Good points night for him. Some of the guys he's contending with were outside the top 10. So really good to see him up on the podium. He got second, but led the lion's share of that race. So really happy for Ricky.
Yeah, and when Dirt on Dirt interviewed him after the race, Ricky said, I'm not unhappy with second. With the year we've had, I'll take second.
Well, I think he's only got 2 World of Outlaw wins, right? So, I mean, at this point in his career, he's like, everybody's like podium, 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 podium. You can finish in the top 3 in a World of Outlaw race, you're doing something. And, of course, this World of Outlaw race had a bunch of the Lucas guys at it. The car count was pretty light, but I think it was probably perfect for a good entertaining show. There was 4 solid heats. Maybe they could have used 6, 8 more cars to have a little bit fuller heat races. But you give me 4 heats and a last chance race and a feature, that's a solid program. I don't need to see 12 heat races and 4 last chance races. I don't need to see that. So I think overall entertainment-wise, I think it was good. But how many cars were invited to that deal? Because that was an invite-only deal. There was a lot of guys that just opted out of that completely. Do you think that maybe they need to rethink that to try to fill up the field just a little bit more for next time if they do it again?
Yeah, they probably have to rethink it a little bit. I mean, if they do this again, I think they have to revisit some things. I mean, I did a lot of reading on Dirt, you can tell, but they Dirt on Dirt, they always have their roundtable discussion on Mondays, and one of the questions that they discussed was, for next year at Bristol, what would make it better? Well, one of them said, don't go back. But another one of the writers, I can't remember who said it, and to me, I think it's a good point. The fact that the Outlaw race was the last one being run, Bristol kind of lost its luster by the time the World of Outlaws got there. You kind of had Bristol fatigue already because you had a week-long event with like 500 cars or however many they had there. Then you had the two NASCAR series race there. And, you know, it was almost kind of like, oh, yeah, the Outlaws are at Bristol, too. And I think that is a good point because, you know, I was really looking forward to watching dirt racing at Bristol. But, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, the Outlaws are racing this weekend at Bristol.
Right. And maybe, you know, and obviously they're probably, are they taking the dirt off the track? Are they having is there a fall race on asphalt there for the Cup?
No, my understanding is they're taking the dirt off.
They are, because they have the World of Outlaw sprint cars coming there, not this week, but I think the following week, which that'll be interesting because then things will get around that place quick, fast, and in a hurry. But I also saw, Bert, where they're talking about maybe putting a roof over that deal.
I saw the headline. I didn't read the story. So if you read the story, fill me in.
Yeah, there's just talks. I mean, I guess the owner's kid, I believe, is talking like as much money in engineering as it took to put up that big, you know, the big scoreboard that they had around in the infield. They're like, they kind of have a plan in place. Like it sounds like they're fairly serious about it. Good idea, bad idea, I don't really know. You know, I mean, I guess where they're at, you know, if you know, it's nice to have an enclosed deal so that way you have to battle Mother Nature, but will they use it enough to justify it?
Right.
Maybe not. I don't know. But I guess they could do the way that place is set up. They could probably do other types of events there if they didn't have to worry about Mother Nature. So I guess time will tell to see if they do that. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I really was. I was actually, I was fairly surprised. I really was. I thought the race was going to be just an absolute snoozer. It turned out to be good. Bloomer, it went from bad to worse for him because, of course, as bad of a night he had the first night, he hurt an engine in time trials, or not time trials, hot laps. So he didn't even time trial or run a heat race there on Sunday. He started in the back of the feature. Just not a good deal for him. So terrible for him. Steve Arpin, for all of us northern guys, he was down there. And honestly, I didn't see if he was back on Sunday, but he was running second in the heat on Friday and expired. I think a motor went, some kind of mechanical issue nonetheless, and he did not race the rest of the night. So I didn't get a chance to see. I don't think he was back for Sunday, but Strickler took home the 10K in the modifieds there on Sunday. And Kyle Hammer, a buddy of mine, Jeff Krause, his pit guy actually pits for Kyle Hammer once in a while. So kind of a neat little backstory there. I helped Cruiser a little bit, but he got a pair of seconds. So good run for him there in the UMP modifieds. But pleasantly surprised, Strickler came in with the point lead. No longer the point lead. Surprise, surprise, your point leader is Brandon Shepherd, right? And you know what's funny, Bert? Because I keep picking on him saying, you know, he doesn't really have a win. You know, him and Owens, they got like half a win each because it was that night, if you haven't heard on the last episode that we talked about it, the night that he won, they took all the cars and they split them into two features. So it's like, you're not running against everybody. It's not really a win. And he said on the one lap, one beer, he says, you know, if I keep running up front, eventually we're going to get a win here. So I kind of caught that. I'm like, so I don't think he really counts that either, because it's just not the same as running against the whole field. So I think there's something to that. World of Outlaws, of course, got a week off now. They're not running this weekend. Lucas Oil action. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's jump over to the World of Outlaws sprint cars. You know, my buddy Keith, well, we gotta have the sprint car world. Pretty good racing. There was some excitement. The second night was really exciting. Did you watch the World of Outlaw sprint cars?
Yeah, I watched the highlights of the feature that the series puts together. So, yeah, I mean, very good racing. I picked David Gravel to win the second night, but he was running really good the first night. Did you notice he kept doing wheelies through most of the race.
Yes. Well, he was doing wheelies, and then all of a sudden he spun out. So it's like he had so much traction or whatever that he just that was only with 2 laps to go, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was late in the race.
Yeah, running second. So yeah, way to go. You jinxed him. Way to go. Way to go. And it's kind of funny because Keith, he jumped on. He says, I'm taking Sweet both nights. And, well, there you go, Keith, right? You know, literally Sweet goes out there. You pick him, the dude can't win anymore. So, and I picked Sheldon Hoddenchild to win both nights. And I'm thinking, here we go. He's front row in the heat race. And I think he spun out in the heat race. So then he fell to the back. I mean, he was just a complete handful. Kind of looking at my notes here. So night number 1, actually Shots spun out too. A lot of people spun out night number 1 at Kokomo. Really a dirty, gritty, gravelly, weird looking surface. Like literally nobody had any traction. And then Shots, again, more woes for him. Mechanical troubles again. Lap 2 of the feature, pulled off, done. Before we get into some more of this, I'm just gonna ask you, Shots, right? 10-time World of Outlaw champion, one of the best ever to strap into a World of Outlaw sprint car. Done? Are his days done? Is it maybe like sneak out a couple wins here and there, but is his legitimacy in the World of Outlaw sprint car series over?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to dominate like he has in the past. I mean, I think those days are done. I mean, right. When you watch these World of Outlaw sprint car races, I mean, there are a lot of young drivers that are fast. You know, they're not just young, they're fast. Right. And, you know, they're not afraid to put it on the cushion or try to thread the needle. So, I mean, I think Shots will get number 300 and he'll get a few more besides that. But, yeah, I think his days of, you know, winning, 20 races a year or whatever, I think those days are done.
Yeah, and he's a northern guy, so it's kind of like our guys from our area, and it's like we don't want to see him done, but I just, he's so conservative. He's probably rolled over enough times that he's like, it kind of hurts now. You see, he takes care of equipment. He's not putting the car in bad situations. He'll finish in the top 3 to 5 in points. I don't see him winning it. I really don't, but he'll be up there. He'll contend. He might sneak out a couple, but it's just not the same Donnie Shots. And man, they've had all kinds of problems. Now back to that David Gravel deal. Kind of an interesting deal. So 2 laps to go, Bert. I don't know if you caught this or not, but he spins out, right? And he keeps going.
Yep, I did notice that.
Yeah, and the yellow come out because it's like the flag man's like, well, he spun out, they threw the yellow, but he never stopped. So there really essentially wasn't a need for a yellow. Well, World of Outlaws has what they call a blend rule. Okay, so initially, technically, he brought out the yellow because he spun out. They threw the yellow for him, but he never stopped, so he didn't go to the back. So they actually blend him in wherever they figured he was when the yellow came out, which was 12th, and that's where he finished. Weird deal. What's your thoughts on that?
I was unaware that there was such a rule. It seems like we keep talking about all these different types of caution rules on how they line cars up, and it's an interesting idea. But I mean, do they have video loops like NASCAR does to determine where he is in the running order?
I don't know. I don't think got transponder loops all the way around. I'm not really sure how that works, but you think about it, it's like I can go out and completely run you over and wreck you and spin you out, and both of our cars are okay. You stop, you go to the back. I caused it. I don't go to the back. But then if I do spin out by myself and kind of keep going, they blend me back in. They're making stuff way too complicated. Like literally, I mean, I don't know. They're like way too complicated with this stuff. It kind of makes no sense. Now, coming into this deal on into this weekend, Brad Sweet, the point leader, of course, your defending champ in the World of Outlaws, he had 4 in a row coming in, and his teammate was driving the 9 ride for Casey Kane Racing. The Aussie there, James McFadden, kind of shut him down. And Sweet actually came from 10th to 2nd, so teammates got 1 and 2, but boy, that Australian McFadden, he looked pretty darn good. I picked Sheldon Odenschild. Like I said, he stepped on his dick in the heat race, but he came from 21st to 5th. Okay. Now, if you're watching that race, he's like the most exciting guy in the racetrack. It's incredible. He's like, in my eyes, he's like the Bobby Pierce of World of Outlaw sprint cars. That's what he is. I mean, he is the opposite of smooth. Literally, his checkers or records. He's gonna bang it off the cushion, sideways, push, cross it over. You have no clue what this guy's gonna do, but you do know this: he's on the pump and he's gonna make something exciting happen. I picked him, and needless to say, that didn't go well. We'll talk about Saturday next, but he did get 5th, and I thought maybe he was going to get up there. But some pretty good racing. Night number 1, night number 2, they went to Tri-State Hotstock, got a little rain, and that track is kind of so if you're a racer and you've been on different materials, if you're from my area, think of Ashland. When that place gets wet, it's kind of a greasy, it's like a wet slick. It never really, I guess it tacks up, but a lot of times it goes from like a greasy to almost a marbly deal. That's Tri-State. They were having a hard time getting a hold of anything. Like literally people were spinning the tires and sideways, and it was all kinds of craziness. I picked Sheldon to win that one too, Bert. Had it won. He was bolted. He had it covered. Caution comes out. Tire goes down. I'm like, really? So I'm blaming Keith on that one because Keith picked him so much, and Keith's nothing but bad luck. He ain't picked one right yet. And literally, I should have waited a couple of weeks until he had the Keith curse off him, and then maybe I could have picked him to win. So I might have to rethink picking anybody that dude picks because he's just killing it for all of us. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I had gravel in that race, so I think he finished 8th or so in that race. But that race was actually really fun to watch, and especially at the end of the race, some cars sliding, blocking.
Well, James McFadden looked like he might have maybe been going 2 for 2 on the weekend, and he started chucking. Him and Macedo were crossing each other over, kind of swapping the lead back and forth in the last closing laps, and Macedo chucked a slider on him, and then he came in the next corner and he went right to the bottom and blocked the slider, and then he came in the next corner again. He went low to block it again, and McFadden was not happy. In victory lane, he was not happy about him shutting the door on him. But I'm looking at that and I'm like, that was just smart, because if he would have left the door open, he loses that race. He went on the block. Obviously, he did it in such a way that McFadden stayed off him, didn't wreck anybody. But yeah, I guess maybe there's an unwritten rule in sprint car world that you can't be blocking sliders. I'm not really sure, but it was exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's enough. Brad Sweet, of course, he is still the big cat leading the World of Outlaw sprint car standings. They got some racing coming up. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But really, that's all the action there was. I mean, there was a little bit of a couple local races here and there, but for the most part, almost everything else rained out. So that's what we had for this past weekend. Lots of racing coming up, though. Lots of racing coming up. And, I'll start kind of touching on this. And we have a few of them that we'll kind of pick here. We'll talk about. But, the first thing coming up starting tonight, because it's I'm posting this, so when you're watching this, it's Tuesday. So starting Tuesday, 5 nights in a row, the Lucas Oil MLRA Series, they got a 5-night stretch here, Bert. And the first night, actually the first 3 races are on XR. That's where you can catch the action for that. And then Friday and Saturday is on Flow. And Tuesday, they're at I-80 for $5,000 to win. Wednesday at Stewart, Iowa for $5,000 to win. Thursday, they're running the quarter-mile track at Davenport for $5,000 to win. And then they got a double-header there at 34 Raceway, $5,000 on Friday, $10,000 on Saturday. So I'm expecting some pretty good car counts for that deal. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates, and kind of a little bit of a mix there. XR 3 nights, Flow 2 nights. Then Schaefer's Oil Spring Nationals. This race was supposed to be last week for $10,000 to win down in Sweetwater, Tennessee at the I-75 Raceway. Now it's going to be on Friday, Bert, and they had to cut the purse because they moved it around a little bit. Just the way it worked, they had to cut it in half. It's $5,053 to win. That is also on Flow. So there's a couple races there we're going to be able to catch over. It's kind of some regional type deal, not necessarily a national circuit, but that Schaefer's Oil Spring Nationals, rumor has it that you might be seeing the Overton down there, Madden. They're not following the Lucas Oil deal, of course, right? So rumor has it that both of those two are going to be down at that race in Sweetwater, so that'll be interesting to see. Now, there's also, if you jump on Flowbert, there's other late model action as well. I know we're not going to talk about every single race that's going on regionally, but there's a lot of racing on Flow this weekend for local. Port Royal's got a pretty good program up there. Might be worth checking out as well. Now we get into some local stuff, okay? And I know you got something you're just itching to talk about, but I'm going to make you wait just a minute, okay? Actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about, we got a couple other national stuff, then we'll go into the local stuff. We'll talk about that. So the World of Outlaw Sprints, they're actually, obviously, they're on Dirt Vision like always, Friday and Saturday night. Lawton, Oklahoma, Friday, Bert, 10 grand to win. Saturday, they're at Mesquite, Texas, down at the Devil's Bowl, 20 grand to win on Saturday. World of Outlaw Sprints, Bert, let's make our picks. Who do you got? Friday and Saturday.
I'm going with pick the same driver for both races and try to get some points. I'm points racing. I'm taking Brad Sweet for both nights.
You're taking Sweet for both nights. Okay. Well, see, that kind of messes me up a little bit because I'm not gonna pull away from you at all if you're picking the same guy that I picked. And of course, like I said, Keith picked him last week, so I'm thinking he kind of tainted him just a little bit. He's kind of has that effect on it, so kind of wrecks it. Pete actually picked Gravel, David Gravel for both nights. Jeff picked McFadden night 1, and he's sticking with his guns there. He's got Donnie Schatz on night number 2, and Keith is mixing it up now. He went with Sweet on night 1 and Sheldon on night 2. So that kind of leaves me. I'm looking at this and I'm going, man, I don't really know what to think here. Everybody's taking everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking somebody that nobody else took. I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to take Carson Macedo both nights. So I'm taking Macedo night 1 and Macedo night number 2 for the World of Outlaw Sprints. Now, finally, it seems like it's been forever, but the Lucas Oil Late Model Series is back in action. Now, I think they were down at Brownstown, and they only got part of the race in. And so they got a little bit of racing in, but they ain't raced much since Florida. And on Saturday, so this is a Saturday-Sunday deal, both of these tracks were big half miles. Not sure how I feel about that. I was excited about the Lucas Oil stuff, and then all of a sudden Jeff said, yeah, both half miles. I'm like, oh man, are you serious? So they're on Saturday, they're at Hagerstown, Sunday at Port Royal. It's 15 grand to win, and then 10 grand to win, I believe, the second night. So let's go with the picks, and I'll start with these guys. I'll give you a second to think about it. Pete is going with Ricky Thornton Jr., who really looked good on the half mile this past week. Jeff is taking Jimmy Owens night 1 and Josh Richards on night number 2. And Keith is actually taking Turbo night 1 and night 2. He's got Turbo. Bert, who do you got?
I am taking Josh Richards night 1 and Tim McCready night 2.
Ooh, T-Mac's another guy. He ain't been racing much.
No, he hasn't.
Completely forgot about.
He should be well rested.
He should. I'm going to go against the grain on another guy that ain't been racing is Huddy. Hudson O'Neill ain't been racing much either. So I'm taking Devin Moran night 1 and night 2. I'm going to take him to continue his hot streak from this past weekend at Bristol. So we got Moran there. So now we have Thursday night. Knock on wood, because we've had a few of these scheduled and they ain't happened yet. We got the Castrol Flow Racing Night in America from the Tyler County Speedway, 10,000 to win Thursday night on Flow Racing. Bert, who do you got down at Tyler County?
And I checked his schedule. It's on his schedule. I am taking Bobby Pierce.
Bobby Pierce. So you and Jeff Jeff took Pierce as well. Keith took Turbo for this one. He says, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm picking Turbo to win all three. Pete has Brandon Shepard to win down at Tyler County. Now, man, kind of torn on this one. I want to stick with the same guy over and over and over, but you know who I'm going to take for this one? I'm going to take Jimmy Owens to win on that one. Now, I haven't even looked at his schedule, so that could be a shot in the dark, but I have a feeling that he's going to be at that one. But please don't let me down, Jimmy. You got to show up to that one. So that's some more of the national late model stuff going on. Now we'll talk about kind of over on, I guess, the eastern, not the eastern side, the western side, so to speak. Dirt Race Central's got a bunch of races going on this weekend, starting with the legendary opener at the Cedar Lake Speedway. They race Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The show's completely designed and set up for our buddy Puka. 100%. Like, in fact, I think he's already got his hotel booked. They got 10 classes of cars. It's going to be incredible. I think the only thing they should be maybe getting Batwings in there, try to get a couple more classes, but at least they got 10, so that's good. Kind of a different format, same as they had at the Legendary 100. They get a time trial, put them straight in the qualifying features Thursday, Friday, then they race their way into Saturday's main event. And they do pay them all 3 nights. That's going to be on Dirt Race Central, but you can access that one by clicking on Watch FYE TV or .TV. Watch FYE.TV for the action at Cedar Lake. No, Bert, legendary opener on week 3.
Does every division time trial?
Everyone.
Oh, wow.
Everyone, yeah. So they all time trial. There's no heats. So the time trial eliminates the heat races or whatever, but they're going, every class is time trialing, and I'm assuming they do a group deal. I don't know. I sure hope they don't individual car time trials for 10 classes. That would be horrendous. I'm guessing with today's technology, with transponders, they can at least get a handful of cars out there. Anyway, the track's big enough to qualify more than one at a time. But yeah, they're doing time trials, and then they're going straight up from time trials to the qualifying feature. And depending on how many cars there is, and we'll talk about that in a second, they might run 2 qualifying features or maybe even 3 if there's a lot of cars, maybe in like the Midwest Mods or something per class. So, and then they're going to take X amount out, just depending on how many features. X amount out of each feature transfers directly into Saturday's A main, and then they fill in the blanks there on Saturday with last chance qualifiers. So different format, but Bert, it's week 3. Okay, I know week 2 rained out, but they already had their opener. Why on earth are they calling it the legendary opener on week 3? How does that make any sense? I mean, come on.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
That makes about as much sense as Cedar Lake having the no-fault caution rule, which I did message one of the people that run the show over there, and I said, "Do you care to comment?" And he didn't really want to say much, but he probably figured I was trying to bait him a little bit. But I'm like, how can you possibly justify that? But I mean, if you're having an opening weekend on week 3, I mean, I guess nothing makes sense anymore. So I don't really know. So Cedar Lake Speedway Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Now, the big news over that direction, Bert, is the Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee, Wisconsin, their first race back since 2019, since all the COVID stuff. That's actually pretty exciting. That's going to be on WatchBRC.tv. 4 classes. I think it's the Randy Bus Icebreaker, I think what they're calling it. Lates mods, super stocks, Midwest mods. So that's going to be that's interesting. Okay, they're like, I don't know, 40 miles apart, maybe an hour, maybe, right? Maybe not.
Less than an hour.
Yeah, less than an hour, and there's not a ton of late models in the area. And now you got Cedar Lake, Menominee running head to head. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, literally, we how many times we got to beat this dead horse? Like, these tracks got to stop stepping on each other's dicks here. I'm like, what are they doing? You can't run against each other. I can see maybe a Midwest mod deal or, something like that where there's more cars, but who's going to come out ahead? I talked to some folks, and I heard that Glenn's, Giassi, maybe Kanta are looking at Cedar Lake. I know that, of course, Radetsky and Prochnow and Mars and all them guys, they're going to be running at I know Sammy Mars for sure. I can't speak for Jimmy, but they'll go to Menominee. So I'm looking at the late model counts here. I'm going, I don't know, what are they going to get? 12 to 15 each? I don't really know. If I had a late model, I'd be on my way down to one of them two, because you're going to get the race. You're going to be in the feature. You ain't going to have to run a B main. I promise you that. So interesting how they're running against each other. And it just drives me nuts. I mean, there's enough weeks out there. I mean, come on. I mean, let's work together a little bit. Makes no sense. Then, of course, Princeton opens up on Friday. Ogilvy opens up. They were supposed to open last week. They open on Saturday, as does the North Central Speedway in Brainerd. All of those shows that I just mentioned on watchdrc.tv. Dirt Race Central is basically the cream of the crop, especially for Wissota Racing. They catch all the action and get a subscription. I mean, it's literally, I don't know, it's reasonable. It's cheap. I don't exactly have the number in front of me, but if you can't watch all the races, if you're a Wissota Racing fan or somebody like our region, they have all the coverage. So you're going to want to get a subscription to catch all that action from Dirt Race Central. Now, Bert, I know you've been chomping at the bit, because Eastern Wisconsin.
I'm just sitting here.
Yes, they have something. I'm excited about this too. Why don't you talk? And then I know you had a little conversation with these guys, and we're going to share a little bit of that here in just a minute. But what's coming up this weekend in your neck of the woods?
Well, Shawano Speedway is going to open this weekend. They were supposed to have a practice last week, but just like everything else, it got canceled because of the rain. But Shawano will be having a practice on Friday night. Give the drivers a chance to shake things down before the season starts. And then Saturday will be their opener, and it'll also be the Dirt Kings Late Model Series opener, the Discount Shop Towels Dirt Kings Late Model opener. And so, yeah, actually, I mean, as we record this, it's Monday night, and this is actually my second podcast of the night, because earlier tonight I was on Shop Night Live podcast, and I mean, you can view that entire podcast on the Shop Night Live Facebook page, but we're gonna insert some at least try to insert some some questions that I asked the directors of the Dirt King series, and also Justin Ritchie, last year's champion, was part of the podcast. There also Chris Engels and Kyle Redant were part of the podcast too. So they had a few different late model drivers there. It was a good show. They went through the entire Dirt King schedule kind of, and I asked them, how they put this year's schedule together. Since last year, it was kind of a scramble every week to put a schedule together, because you didn't know which track was going to be allowed to race. And hopefully this year's much better than that. And, we talked to Justin Ritchie about winning the championship last year, and made light of the fact that he did not win any features.
Yeah, let's keep that out of the bag there. Yeah, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and let's insert this right now, okay? And I'll play a little clip right here so everybody can watch it. Now, if you're listening to this on podcast form, if you're listening to the One to Go show on podcast, jump onto Facebook or jump onto our YouTube page. Either one of those. Give our pages a like. Like and follow on YouTube, like and follow on Facebook, share it, get all that stuff. Let's get the word out there a little bit. But we're actually going to play part of that clip on our show here, so you can actually watch Bert interacting with the folks from Shawano Speedway in the Dirt King series. So here's that clip right now.
We're starting here Saturday night. Yeah. And the weather looks like it'll hold up nicely for once.
It'll be a great night.
For once,
I gotta get snowed out, rained out.
3 years ago, we started with that 3-footer here. So we're happy because obviously we get it in. We like the early dates. We like to get people talking, and helps the series out too. And I'm happy to see the weather that's going to be, hopefully this crap ends and we can go. Now the one in May, the Diamond 43.
Diamond 43 at Wilmot. Yeah.
Talk about that one a little bit.
Yeah, so the Diamond, we call it our crown jewel. The Diamond 43 is at Wilmot on May 16th. If you're not familiar with Wilmot, it's down by Lake Geneva. It's shaped a lot like Plymouth. Is that accurate? It might be shaped like Plymouth. The guys are nodding.
It's like longer straight this place only shrunk.
Yeah, it's like a shrunk this place. So 4,300 to win, 430 to start, 43 lap feature. It's we honor Diamond Jim Letizia, who races with us, and his son Turk races with us, and that's a really fun event. We put a lot of effort into making that a big show, so that'll be a good.
What's the significance of the 43 part of it?
Sorry, yeah. So this is the fourth time we've done it. Third time we've done it. Fourth time we've done it. Right? Mm-hmm. That's why you're here. We started with the Diamond 40 for Diamond Jim's 40th year of racing and 40 years selling cars. So now we're on 43.
So
Justin.
go ahead.
Was this, am I wrong? Was this at Wilmot? Is it moving around a little bit?
It's moved a little bit.
That's
Yeah, so we did it twice at 141. Right. Sandy was getting ready to say that Justin won it at 141.
Right. That was a good race too, if I remember.
Yes,
right.
Jared won the first one. That was it. 141. And he tried to pull me in the pond. And then
I didn't have to go on the pond.
What's that?
I didn't have to go on the pond
Yeah, because you were getting your pond.
to go race that.
Oh, that's right.
Which is good, because then you didn't try to pull me in the pond. And then we went to Plymouth, and Jesse Glenn's won last year at Plymouth in a bit of a wild race. We're going to leave it at that. And,
I got a lot of phone calls the next day.
That you did. I did. I turned my phone off. And then this year we're excited to go to Wilmot. There's a big race at Fairbury the night before on Saturday night, so we think the Sunday at Wilmot's going to be a good show. And
Sure.
I actually think I'm coming down for that one, so I think we're gonna. I got some friends from Racine, and they race one of the wingless sprint cars there, so
Yeah.
I might come down and take that
Awesome.
one. So, that race at 141. Not to get off that, you were out, and Demo was in lap. That was in lap traffic, right? Because AJ finished. Did AJ finish second that night? Then I'm thinking of a different race. Right. Then I'm thinking of a different race because
AJ was chasing down Jared the year before.
That's what it was on that one. And I mean, Jared had that thing won,
and
all of a sudden, I don't know,
Drew out.
it was just like, holy crap, Demo just come up on him. And so then you go to Chilton, where you won her last year. Defending champion. What's it like to race the late model on that track?
Tight.
Yeah, I remember that, right? And yeah, I remember that one. That was a little bit, but
Was we like racing to make it or something?
because I think you told me because Scheffler you passed Scheffler, right? He tried to go around somebody when he probably shouldn't have. That's how it's racing is.
Especially on a track like that.
I would have never gotten. I mean, he was at like a straightaway ahead of me at one point. I would have never caught him. But
I wouldn't have complained if he'd done that the race before.
yeah,
That's right, you ran second when they ran
Yeah.
an open show.
Yeah, he didn't give me nothing. Damn it.
So how many late model shows have been there?
I can tell you that my eyes were full this big.
It's just two.
Oh my God, what's he doing?
No, the first night was up.
I think he did it once later because
I got lost. Yeah.
Racing for most of the race. He got better at the end of the first going down the bottom. At the end of it.
Okay. Well,
The first half was pretty
happens.
good. The
That
first
happens.
race, I wasn't at the second one. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, were you fishing or something?
No, I was. I had motor issues.
But when we went green to checker, I mean, even on a rubber up track, we went green to checker. It speaks volumes about the caliber of guys that are racing with us and the level of respect. And it's not like an IMCA mod show where you beat the hell out of each other. So, mod guys.
I love our mod guys.
That's not what I meant. I love them too.
I do, but I agree that those kind of tracks are very. I mean, you can't. They say just keep it on the bottom. You're good. Well, you can't miss that mark either because you miss that mark, you're going backwards. So, and I've also told a lot of people who complain about anything about a rubber down track to a hammer down track. Go get an asphalt car if you want to race on the same thing every week because. The cool thing about dirt racing on any level at any class is it's a puzzle and you have to put it together every week. And just because the heat races are one way You're not running the same crap and get your features, you got to put it together. So then you go Memorial Day weekend to Outagamie County, which is always puts on a good show.
Yep, great racetrack.
And Jim Falls.
Jim Falls, yep.
So Stars and Strength 30, that's on June 11th. Back here on June 26th.
Yep.
For Games Club 117 night again. See, they didn't. She probably knows this all, but I'm. You want to go? You can read it.
No, you're doing really good.
No, go ahead. Read through it. I'm getting dry. Go ahead.
So where we live off? Here on the.
I'm on July 2nd.
Do you want to?
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
you'd be better.
No.
So then we go July 2nd, we go back to Seymour. And then July 9th, Friday, July 9th, we go over to Mississippi Thunder in Fountain City.
You guys have been there quite a few times now.
Yeah.
It's getting a reputation of being a Dirt Kings track to race at.
Yeah, we were going there twice again this year. We were there 3 times last year. Got rained out once, so it would have been 4 shows last year. And and they're bringing in other stuff. They're bringing in 2 nights of World of Outlaws race. If you want to see a great show, that World of Outlaws show at Mississippi Thunder is going to be an amazing race.
I got that written down there too.
Yeah, Bob Tim preps that track like it's his firstborn son, and it's
Right around the rim.
It is gorgeous. Yeah, great place. Then Tuesday, August 3rd. Yeah, and fast. Keep your foot on it. Yeah,
everybody, right? You can do the bottom. It's pretty good at the bottom.
That guy's good everywhere.
That's not true either. Obviously, you never stood next to my brother when I'm out on the racetrack.
I enjoy watching your brother when you're on the racetrack.
He has a signal stick. Sometimes they get thrown on the ground. He just walks away.
But I
don't know what that means.
Stay on the bottom.
Then we co-sanction with World of Outlaws on August 3rd at Seymour.
Now, how does that work with? Do they contact you, or do you contact them, or how does that work with Virtual Outlaws?
Yeah, I don't know. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. I don't remember who called who this year.
Plymouth would have been the first one.
Yes.
Because the last year they were here, it was a co-sanction.
Yeah, so that was the first time we did it with Plymouth in here, and then last year with Plymouth and Seymour, and with Beaver Dam last year, and then this year just with Seymour. But we talk with Casey Schumann, who's the director for World of Outlaws, and whenever they're nearby, we're happy to help. And any late model racing is good late model racing, so that's the way we feel about it. Then August 20th, we go back to Mississippi Thunder.
You missed one.
You missed August 15th, Angel Park.
Oh. August 15th, we go to Angel Park. Thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
August 15th, Angel Park, which will be fun. We're going to qualify that night. So time trials that night. It'll be a good time.
And then there's another series with you guys that night too.
You guys, if you didn't see Conrad's face, it was the greatest thing ever. I got to see it, and you just can't relive that moment, so we're not going to go there. He's not a qualifier, I take it.
Gravity Park was a qualifier night.
Yeah. We're qualifying there, too.
Yeah, so I guess.
Well, what'd you put your head down for?
Anytime there's qualifying, I feel like...
You have to understand, this show, you do something, you're getting called out. I mean, you don't get away with it. Go ahead. No,
I don't know. When there's moisture in the track and you qualify, I think there's some other motors that are have a little bit of an advantage, but...
Come feature time, you go right by them then, right?
Brady Smith once told me that it doesn't matter where I draw. If my car's fast, I'll go to the front.
Okay.
That told me. Just telling you.
You feel better about it now?
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Trying to boost your confidence once again. All right,
we got a sponsor for Fast Qualifier, too. Champ Pans gave us a set of body braces for Gravity Park and for Angel Park, so...
Might need it back.
It's a perfect track for him. You needed that.
See how you did that.
Talked to Jake Rudetsky, and he thought that was a neat idea, and I thought it was a great idea too. So Fast Qualifier gets a set of body braces that night. So then, on the 20th, we go to Mississippi Thunder for another 40 feature there.
It's $5,000 to win, I see. Eh?
$5,000 to win there that night. Yeah, that's a big show. Be a good night there. And then we come back August 27th at Plymouth. And then 4 more in September. Sunday, September 5th, we go to Justin's favorite track, TNT Speedway.
Three Lakes.
In Three Lakes.
That's not sarcasm, is it?
And then
Did you run late model up there with the WMA?
Oh,
You ran the 70 car race.
racing.
Okay.
2 years ago.
Are they racing this year?
Yes. Yeah. And then September 10th and 11th, September 10th, we make our first voyage into Illinois and go to Sycamore Speedway. And then the 11th, we go an hour up the road to Wilmot again for the Jim Wildman Watson Classic. And then we wrap up the season on the 18th of September back at Seymour.
Now, after last year when you had to juggle the schedule all the time because of COVID,
Yes.
How difficult was it putting this year's schedule together? I mean, were the tracks receptive after a year of not normal racing?
Yeah, I think everyone's... So a year of not normal racing, but the racing that happened was really good racing with good crowds. And I feel like as the racing industry, as the motorsports industry, hopefully last year we captured the opportunity to build a new fan base and build repeat customers in racetracks and in fans and in drivers and in sponsors and everything, because that was a pretty golden opportunity in many regards with what we had last year. So for building a schedule this year, at one point, you kind of put everything on a piece of paper and you start crossing off and putting dates next to it. At one point, there was like 22 different options on the table. So I really, really like the schedule we have this year. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think it's a good mix of travel. The dates are good. I think everything lines up really well. I've ordered clear, dry weather for every day. So
I'm gonna hold you to that, dude.
yeah, please do. I know. I think it's going to be a good year.
Now, when Dirt Kings first started, I interviewed you, and you had said that you didn't want to venture too far out because the core drivers are from here.
Yeah.
What went into the decision to have a race out of state this year for the first time?
So it's a really good set of circumstances because Sycamore Speedway and Wilmot are about an hour and 5 minutes apart. And the race at Sycamore pays $3,000 to win. So, you know, there's an advantage to going down there, and you're already down there for Wilmot. We're looking for sponsorship for Wilmot, so if you're watching and you want to sponsor a Dirt Kings race, call me. Sorry.
Maybe K&K Insurance and sponsor Steve Sinclair. Steve Sinclair. Oh, sorry. I don't get to call Steve on the road.
No, so I mean, it works out well. So you're right. We did say that. We don't want to grow too fast, too far, too much. This is the right opportunity because you're already down there. It now becomes a 2-day show. A lot of guys like Kyle, I mean, by the time you drive from here to Wilmot and back, what time do you get home? 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning?
Depends on how the race goes.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, you're already down there. And
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I was just wondering what went into the expansion out.
Yeah, so at the end of every season, we have drivers meetings with all the drivers and the teams to come and talk about what went really well this year, what they wish we would change, and one of it is, what tracks do you want to go to? And for the last 4 years, everyone has said they want to go to Sycamore. And this is the first time
There's a lot of guys who'd like to go further than Sycamore too. I mean, we've heard Fairway, we've heard Cedar Lake. We'd like to get to Cedar Lake. We tried it this year. There was talk about Deer Creek a few years ago. So, I mean, there's options. And the other thing is, the guys who've been racing with us now going into the 5th year, their programs have all evolved too. So we see more guys buying bigger trailers and toter homes and things like that. And just you got to do it at the right pace, right? I mean, you can't. In 2017, if we would have tried to go everywhere, we wouldn't have the solid core of drivers that we have today. So it's all about...
It was all stepping.
Yep.
So I guess as long as we're on the subject, where do you see yourselves in 5 years? Where do you see the series at in 5 years? Are you going to be maybe a little Minnesota, a little Illinois, a little Wisconsin, or do you still want to kind of maintain a core and expand it maybe to other area tracks around here like Sturgeon Bay or Luxembourg or other tracks that would host it?
Yeah, no, we would love to go to the Hill. We'd love to go to, back to Luxembourg. Those are definitely options. And we talked to the folks in Escanaba once. We'd love to go up to Escanaba. That'd be, again, slow, managed, reasonable growth. That's what we're at.
Yeah.
Well, before we end the show,
please do it.
we got to talk to Justin. He's the champion from last year.
I want to. So,
where's the chair in the ground?
I'm glad you said that. So, how many? I know the answer. How many Dirt Kings wins did you have last year?
0.
And you're still a champion.
You want to know how many feature wins I had total last
0.
year? 0.
Can I tell you a story about when Mike Mullen passed you? Yeah. I'm standing by to cross the pits, and Justin had just finished second, and Mike Mullen. Did you see the video of that thing? I mean, it was just stupid how much. I mean, I don't think he lifted for 5 laps, and he's sort of crabby with me, Justin. He's just, you had to water the high side, blah blah blah. I'm like, but they're racing on the bottom and the top all over. I'm just pissed off. I can't get a goddamn win this season. I just need to blame somebody. But look at, I mean,
you're in the top 5 like every night though.
Right.
I mean, that's all it takes.
That's
but as a driver, you want to win.
Yeah.
I mean, you're disappointed if you don't win.
Now, when did you clinch the championship? Because it was fairly close the entire year, wasn't it? The last night?
Last night.
So how did your last night go? How nervous were you entering the night?
I wasn't bad, actually. Actually, the worst part was that the Dirt Kings trailer pulled in park right next to me. And then...
Jinx a little bad juju there, maybe, huh?
And then...
It was good luck, don't you think?
Yeah. I tend to like to be like away from all the commotion.
So it helped that I had both photographers chasing you and GoPros in your car, and you were following Kayla
so
around.
all that time is when I started vibrating across the pit area. Walking anymore, like, holy shit, what are we doing here?
It was really fun to watch. Honestly.
Right? Yeah.
Now, is it different doing that type of a more prestigious winning Dirt Kings than it is a track championship?
I mean, it depends how it plays out, right? I mean, when I won track championships, that was what we were gunning for, right? But obviously the number one goal last year was to win the Dirt Kings championship, so, I mean...
My favorite part of that night, we had a GoPro in your car, and you pulled into Victory Lane to the side of Victory Lane, and Kale walks up, and there was neither one of you congratulated the other. You both just started talking about setup and how to make the car better. And I actually walked over at one point, and I'm like, please talk about this later. Just get out of the car and celebrate.
Yeah, that's how we operate for the most part. There's very few emotion there, right? It's all business,
We did our job. This is what we meant to do. It's not a surprise.
I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, with me and them guys, I mean, as much as it's a team and it kind of turned into a family operation deal, they kind of invited us all in. I mean, it's still, we're still business associates, right? I mean, I'm driving their race car and they're footing the bill, and so there's expectations there that are on both ends of the spectrum that need to be met, right? So you gotta.
What's the goal for this year? Same?
Yeah.
Gonna shoot it for the Dirt Kings deal
Yeah,
again.
win as many features as we can this year, hopefully.
At least double last year's.
I mean, for what it's worth, Mike told me he's bringing both cars on Saturday, so.
Yeah, well, perfect. I mean,
you should too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did that once.
You guys gonna let him out of here without making him tell you what Bristol was like?
Oh, I forgot the reason.
Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
What's it?
Yeah, I mean, actually, to be honest with you, it wasn't any faster than racing here, to be honest. Like down the straightaway and stuff, like that was just, I mean...
You planted it for
in the modified it was, right? I mean, we were turning the speeds that we were doing the late model here, down the straightaway. But when you get to the corner, it was crazy, like, you don't get like any... Like your sides are never sore, your head, like neck's never sore because you don't lay over in the seat. Like you get shoved right down in the seat. Like you're like compressed. Like when you like come down the straightaway, like holy shit! You gotta sit back up in your seat.
Did you lift at all?
No,
I don't think so.
Not much, no.
So what in the hell were those things around the bottom? I mean,
turtles?
The Dirtles?
I know that, but what were they?
They were just dirt mounds.
It was just
dirt mounds,
compressed dirt that painted.
They went out there with the skid steer and they rolled the dirt mound up. It was sketchy. You know, I mean,
we're doing that this year.
Yeah. Well,
put a tire on top of that with a barrel.
The cement hurts less.
I mean, you watch me race a lot of times in your lifetime. You know where I like to run. You know what I did at Bristol? Big turtles were really intimidating when you come off the corner. Like,
when that late model hit that one and barreled down the front stretch, I'm like, holy smoke!
And it was hard to do down there because the banking's so much that you got to race it up the hill. So if you try to come in like on a normal line and turn the car, it actually drags you to the bottom of the racetrack. So, I mean, I was out there for like 300 feet, and I had the nose half ripped off of it, because I come in the corner, and it like turned and went boom, down through the infield.
Oh.
And then my brother about lost it when I come rolling in. He's like, "What were you doing? Like one corner? You couldn't make it one corner? I mean, you have no idea. Like it just took off. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
So do you,
Because they had to free the cars up so much in order to get them to run around up the top.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, well, even if you entered on the bottom, you had to like race it up the hill. You couldn't like just turn right around the tires. You had to let it get up.
so I mean, don't you wish you'd had the fendered car there? The late model? No?
I mean, just to turn a couple laps,
Just
see
to
what it
turn
was
a
like in a late model.
I mean, if we would have had like 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, well, I figured we were well under horsepower there.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I wish I would have had an open motor in my modified, to be honest with you.
Really creative. And you went to watch, huh?
I did.
Was it? I call it a made-for-TV event, and that's no disrespect. It's just a lot of pictures of crashed cars and rollovers and
Hurt
fights
people.
in the and to me, that's I'd rather have good racing. As a promoter, you know, when you get fights in the pits and everybody goes, "That's what a promoter." No, I don't want that as a promoter. I don't need that as a promoter. I don't need to deal with that as a promoter. But for me, it was a made-for-TV event. What surprised me, and we talked a little bit before, was there was passing in the World Outlaws. I just thought there would be no passing in that World Outlaw event because all the guys are good, all the equipments are good. The only way I figured you're getting passed is if
You mess up.
you mess up.
I mean, and there shouldn't have been as many wrecks as there was. It's just so narrow. Like, after I was out on the racetrack, you can see why, like, the NASCAR guys, when they pile up down the straightaway, they wreck like 15 of them because there's no. It's really actually really narrow. I mean, it was hard to fit two modifieds side by side there.
Was it just the racing group or the track itself?
Just like the straightaways themselves are.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I tell you what, that was pretty awesome stuff. A little bit of insight there, like you mentioned. Justin Ritchie winning the whole series championship with 0 feature wins. 0. I won a track championship like that, a couple of them actually, but I never won a regional series. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's cool, I won the series, but it's like, I want to win a race. Like it sucks being the bridesmaid, but he, I think he's probably going to park that baby in victory lane at least once or twice in that series this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that he parks it in victory lane, and I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he did it this coming Saturday. I mean, he's a former track champion at Shawano Speedway, so it's not like it's a new track to him. You know, he knows how to get around that place. So we'll see how he does. If Nick Gavelink is there, if he has his car ready, Nick has a pretty good record on opening night at Shawano. He may have, if it's not 4 or so in a row, it's like 4 out of 5 season openers. So he usually does pretty well on opening night. So he'll be tough to beat if he's there.
He's tough there. I also saw on Facebook that Mullen's going to be there. Sounds like with the mod and the late model. And I'm excited to watch him. That kid can flat out wheel a race car. So it should be good action. Now, Bert, is that going to be streamed on anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I did ask Jason and Sandy from Dirt Kings if any of their races are going to be streamed, and he said they're working on some things. They don't have anything in concrete right now, but they're working on some things.
No, there's a gentleman that does film the races in Shawano and posts some after the fact on Facebook, right?
Correct.
Where can a person find that?
I can't remember if it's on his personal page or not. I will post that in the comments to this podcast.
Okay.
Because I don't want to give out a Facebook page and then not be the right one.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, Bert will post that in the comments, of course, because I mean he attends the Shawano Speedway pretty much every week, and there's a lot of good racing over there. So it's kind of good to be able to see that racing action, even if we can't see it live. We can jump on and watch it after the fact, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, because Michael Thorne is the person who does the recording, and he does a really good job. I mean, it's clear video, very good video. But yeah, he usually posts posted on the Facebook page on Sunday, so you don't have to wait too long to see it. So
we can post his phone number on here for everybody to text, as long as he promises to do it at like 2-3 in the morning, because he'll really appreciate that, and we'll just make sure that he understands that Bert gave the number out. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So yeah. So let me ask you this: we didn't make official picks or whatever for Shawano, but who's your pick to win the opening night of the Discount Shop Towels Dirt Kings Late Model Series opener, I guess, at the Shawano Speedway this Saturday night?
I mean, the easy pick would be to take Nick. He might still be mad at me though for giving him a C. I don't know if it's really a dark horse, but I'll take Mullen.
I was going that direction. I figured you're going the easy route, but if you're not taking them, I'll take Nick. So that's I tell you, Mullen's got a sharp looking hot rod. That thing is sweet. I mean, if you haven't seen that thing, it is absolutely badass looking. And I'm excited to see them in action. Should be a good car count over there. I believe you said that Plymouth does not race on Saturday.
Correct.
So they should get a bunch of them Plymouth cars over there as well. So yeah, like I said, the Discount Shop Pals Dirt Kings Late Model Series opener this Saturday night over at the, I guess, Big Half Mile, right, Shawano? Big Half Mile.
Big Half Mile.
I won't knock the half mile there, Brad. we love your half mile. We love your half mile. I've seen some good racing there. So let's get into the last lap, Bert. Into the last lap. Big Frog Motorsports in the late model world. What's going on?
Well, that Ross Bales was racing for them, and they have parted ways. From what I read, I mean, Ross has a child who's 10 months old, has a young child, and just the traveling and stuff was too much. He didn't want to travel that much, basically.
He didn't want to get a divorce. Probably a good idea. Probably wisdom on that. But now, whose car was he running at Bristol? Was that still for them, or was that his own deal at Bristol?
That wasn't Big Frog, because Big Frog was what,
58, 50, right?
58, yes.
Yeah, this was 79. Is that what number?
He's raced this 79 before. I can't remember who the owner is, but yeah, he's raced this car at other tracks before. I can't remember who the owner is. It's not his own equipment.
He looks better in that 79 than he did in the 58. Because he looked good down. Wasn't there some spring or fall nationals deals that he ran? He won one of them, and he ran right up front in another one. That was in the 79 car, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And now I just thought of an interesting thing, because they were taking pre-orders for diecast for his 58 car. So I wonder what's going to happen with that.
Did you already pay for it?
I actually didn't order one.
Oh, you're safe then. You're safe. I was going to say, there'd have to be some words. They'd be sending you a 79 one in the mail is what they'd be doing. So another little bit more news in the world of outlaw late models. We talked about Strickler being a little bit, or his car owner being a little bit upset about maybe, hey, we're not sure if we're going to do this whole thing. But somebody did make the decision that they're dropping off the tour. Somebody that's been on it for the last couple of years. Talk about that.
Yeah, Chase Youngins has dropped off the World of Outlaw tour, and this week I became Ryan, and I caused a little controversy on the 2020 page, because when they posted that he wasn't going to be following the series anymore, I replied, "Is anybody going to even notice?" And my intent was, well, the reason I posted it was because I mean, he's been running horrible with this year. Let's just be honest. And I still have a sour taste in my mouth for when he intentionally took out Mason Ziegler. So
he got the worst of that deal too.
Well, yeah. And so yeah, then I mean, people really didn't jump on me, but people were saying, well, it's not good for racing if people are dropping off the tour. And I agree. It's not good for the tour, to have drivers dropping off, and especially for the tracks in our area that host these shows, because we like up here, we like to know which drivers are going to show up. And I mean, let's be honest, the Outlaw series already has, how do I want to phrase, somewhat weak lineup to begin with. And
politically correct as always, Bert. Yep. So basically, Bert's saying World of Outlaws is basically a bunch of field fillers. So they like to know which field fillers are coming to the track.
Well, weak compared to the Lucas Oil Series. I don't think that's even a debate.
Oh, it's not. I mean, at least it's proved to be true here the last year or so anyway. And that's the thing. I think most series kind of start out with people that kind of make that plan in the beginning. Hey, we're going to run the whole series. Florida gets done, and they're like, I'm not really sure. And I think that's kind of what's happened. He made it a little bit longer, but just not working out. Sounds like he's going to run some of that Lucas Oil MLRA stuff. So I'm anticipating seeing him all week at those shows. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, another guy taking some time off of the Lucas Tour for different reasons altogether. And I'll just go ahead and say it. Billy Moyer Jr. sounds like he broke his foot. It sounds like he slipped and fell or whatever and broke his foot. I think it was at home. But it sounds like, according to Dirt on Dirt, looks like he's going to be taking about a month off. Wow, what do you know on that, Bert?
I don't know much more than what you just said, but yeah, he's going to be taking at least a month off. And, I'm not sure how he broke his foot, but if it's, it's not, I'm sure it's not easy to drive a race car with a broken foot.
Well, I'll tell you this. Okay, so on the year that I went to Florida racing a mod, that would have been back in 2009. I guess the Winter Nationals down there, or Speed Weeks in 2009. So we had we had conveyor belt outside the garage. Like, part of it was paved on the platform, but the other side was like rubber conveyor belt just to kind of stay out of the muck. And I stepped out of my trailer and I slipped and I rolled my big toe underneath my foot. And I'm telling you, that hurt. My big toe on my right foot was double the size of my left toe, right? I mean, like, it hurt. It was swollen, and it was like that for probably 3-4 weeks. But I'm like, literally, I'm going down to drive for John Carpenter in Florida at Speed Weeks. I'm like, I'm going. And I walked for like probably 4 or 5 weeks on the side of my foot because I'm like, I don't get to go down there every single year, so I'm going to make it happen. And once I got in the car and all buckled in, I didn't really notice it. Like, I thought it was going to be a problem because you got the roller pedal and everything was kind of smooth, but I don't know, maybe Junior's a little bit more soft than me. I don't know what to say. So speedy recovery for him. Hopefully he gets all squared away. More late model news, Bert. And I know that I just caught this last night. I didn't know about it. So a former multi-time Wissota late model national champion, Kurt Gelling, sounds like him and Vicky had a house fire. Sounds like they lost about everything in that deal. Lanny Nichols. You can go, I believe, the Nichols Motorsports Facebook page. If you want to donate, if you want to help them out, you can contact Lanny. Sounds like he's kind of spearheading a deal. You can look at the Casino Speedway Facebook page as well, Watertown, South Dakota. If you want to help out Kurt and Vicky, and that's a bad deal. Hopefully, and knock on wood again, hopefully they had enough insurance to cover everything. But there's certain things when you have a fire, Bert, that certain things like table and chairs and whatever, it's like big deal, it's dishes. But when you have your whole life in your house and there's a lot of things that you can't get back. So thoughts and prayers to them, guys. That's a tough deal. I know people that have been through a house fire and it's just never a good deal. So if you want to help them guys out, there's a few ways to reach out. Shoot us a message. We can align you with the right people if you want to help them guys out. So anything else there, Bert, before we do a little recap here, but anything else that you want to touch on, any more breaking news that you saw here, maybe since we put the agenda together?
No, none that I can think of.
So let's talk about our picks from last week. So looking at last week, I'll be honest with you, like, we all sucked. We're supposed to be experts in this deal, and I'm looking back through the deal here, and I don't see anybody that got anything right. None of us. Like, zero. All 5 of us got a big old goose egg. Of course, Mother Nature took a couple of them. No, that's not true either, because we only picked the World of Outlaw sprints and late models. So we were 0 for 4, all 4 of us. So looking at the leaderboard here, Keith, I love you, man, but you're still at like one less than one. I can't even say the word at what you're at. Jeff said,
and in picking, you can't win the championship by not winning any.
yeah, you can. That just simply will not now anyway. I mean, maybe if we all picked wrong. Jeff's at 2, Pete's at 3, you're at 5, and I guess I don't need to say it. I just like winning. It is what it is, but I'm at 6 right now, 1 ahead. Now, I did pick a couple against the curve here, right? We got 5 picks this weekend, both Lucas Oil races, the World of Outlaw sprints, and Thursday night's Flow Racing Night in America. So we got 5 picks. So we'll see how it all shakes up this week there, Bert. Now, I'm going to end with this. So we got our picks. We got that all done. We got some upcoming events. Now, let's talk about our must-see events. There's a lot of racing going on. You know, if you had to break it down to, say, 3 of them that really stick out to you, that you're more excited about than any of them, what 3 events are you most excited to see this coming week?
Well, obviously, locally, I'm looking forward to the Dirt Kings and the Shawano Speedway opener. On the national scene, I'm looking forward to actually the Castro Flow Racing. Hopefully they can get a race in. The first 2 have been rained out?
Yes.
I mean, because not only the racing, but, you know, they're supposed to do the studio show. So I'm curious to see what they do with that. And, you know, obviously I want to see the racing too. And to pick a third one, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the MLRA. Because
any particular race or just kind of the whole series as
just the whole series, because Jake Tim is supposed to be going for Rookie of the Year, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And actually Justin Reed is supposed to be following that series too. Justin Reed races late model owned by Jeff Curtin, who is from Shawano. Jeff Curtin used to race late models at Shawano, but Justin Reed races his cars now. They followed the Dirt Kings tour in the past, but they're going to follow a lot of the MLRA series this year. So you know, I'll keep track of how they're doing, because, you know, local. I mean, we've said it on the show before. You know, it's more fun watching races when there's people you know in them.
Yeah, absolutely. So and just to recap that, the Dirt Kings race at Shawano, it's not being streamed live, but we're going to get you the information, fans, so you can check that out on Facebook the next day. So you'll still be able to catch the racing action. So I'm excited for that too, because there's people that's our power rankings area. So we're excited about that. I had that one on the list too. The Flow, I guess it's a Castrol Flow Racing Night in America. That's on Thursday night on Flow Racing. I'm super excited for that one. The whole broadcast, not necessarily the race. That's one the race I'm excited about, but I'm way more excited about the extra stuff that they're going to do from a broadcast standpoint. The Lucas Oil MLRA series, the first 3 events, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, them are on XR, and then Friday and Saturday, those races are going to be on Flow. And so the 2, other than the Flow Racing one, the 2 that I'm most excited about, I'm excited for the Red Cedar Speedway to get back in action.
Good point. Good point.
After a year off, you know, them guys worked their tails off to try to get the season on order last year. The county worked against them, you know, so I'm really excited for the icebreaker. That's on Dirt Race Central, watchdrc.tv, Friday night, Red Cedar Speedway. And Keith, I guess in kind of converting me a little bit, I was going to say Lucas Oil Lates, but both of them are on half miles. I mean, it should be good racing, but it's just not my cup of tea. But I'm excited about the World of Outlaw sprint cars, specifically the 20 grand down in Mesquite, Texas at the Devil's Bowl. That should be a good one down there. So lots of racing coming up, Bert. 5 picks this weekend, so we're going to maybe have a little shake up here in our rankings. But folks, that's episode 75 in the books, and I kept Bert up a little bit past his bedtime tonight to get this done. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and like Puka always says, go out there and be your dream. I'm Ryan Aho. That is the Bert Lehman. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.